What's going on, everybody? It's AG here. Mack Brown is officially out at North Carolina. So let's go ahead and break down the top candidates that I've seen thrown around. At the end, I'll give you who I think they will hire and then who I would hire. So let's go ahead and break it down. I've got 10 names here that kind of make some sense. Now, this job in particular is a pretty good job this year, better than usual in general, just because it doesn't look like that a lot of SEC or Big Ten jobs are going to open up, if any. So that makes this job more wanted than it would normally be. And with the way things are headed, it doesn't look like if we end up going a complete power two route, I think North Carolina will be in that mix. So this is a good job that could ultimately end up being in the SEC or Big Ten, depending on what happens. Because this is a big money job. Now, not necessarily football wise, but basketball, North Carolina makes so much money. They're connected with the Jordan brand. They're going to get you a lot of money here. So let's go ahead and get into it. First off, we've got Jamey Chadwell at Liberty. Now, he is one that I think North Carolina benefits from, this being probably the most sought after job this cycle, because Jamey Chadwell, from what I've seen, it seems like he's holding out for the Florida job. Reports are, he's turned down the Mississippi State job in the past. And so it seems like he's holding out for that SEC job. Now, if he can't get it at Florida, is this the next best thing? They're not in the SEC or the Big Ten. They're not in the Power Two, but this is, like I said, a big job. You're going to get paid a lot. You're going to have a chance to make the playoff every year. And you hire the right guy. I won't say North Carolina is a sleeping giant because they're not quite that, but they could definitely be a top 25 contender every year. You know what I mean? And Jamey Chadwell, he's done really good at Liberty, did good at Coastal Carolina as well. So he's had success in the state at a smaller school. This wouldn't be a bad hire for me at North Carolina. Next up, Bob Chesney, James Madison head coach. So this is his first year at James Madison. Has done a pretty good job. Did good at Holy Cross at the FCS level as well. He's had a proven track record that he can win wherever he goes. Next up, PJ Fleck. And again, these are just in alphabetical order, by the way. These aren't in any order. We'll break that down when we get to the end. PJ Fleck, Minnesota. We see his name thrown around a lot. And despite Minnesota not being in the playoff every year, not being a top 25 team every year, he's done a pretty good job in Minnesota. He's won a ton of ball games as far as Minnesota standards are concerned. And I think PJ Fleck's a pretty good head coach. Now, could North Carolina do better than this? Maybe, but he is at least a proven asset. Like you go and hire a guy from the lower level, the group of five level, let's say like a Jamey Chadwell, Jon Sumrall, whoever, they haven't proven it at the P5 level. Now, PJ Fleck has proven he can win at this level in the Big Ten. I think he could do pretty good in North Carolina. Next up, Andy Kotelnicki, Penn State offense coordinator, came over from Kansas. He's done a pretty good job this year. I've seen his name thrown around a little bit for this job. Now, do you go the coordinator route? Sometimes it has success. Sometimes it backfires on you. You look at Dan Lanning. They hired him as a coordinator. It worked out pretty good, but other times it doesn't work out. So I think North Carolina is a big enough job. I don't think you have to hire a coordinator. But if they're interested in that route, if they like what he does in the interview room, they might go that route. Next up, Dan Mullen, former Florida head coach, Mississippi State head coach. We've seen his name thrown around a little bit as of late. He was reportedly a finalist last year for the Syracuse job. So could he throw his name in the ring here? He's proven he can have success, but would he get burnt out? Is this just a repeat of the Mack Brown hire where you're hiring a guy that's had success in the past, but is just pretty much done? And I think that's kind of the risky run here. I probably wouldn't go this route. Next up, Barry Odom. That's another name I've seen thrown around a lot. UNLV head coach. He's done really good at UNLV, formerly at Missouri. Had so-so success in Missouri, kind of up and down a little bit. But is this one that, he's been there, done that, and hasn't had great success? Had okay success in Missouri, but not great. I don't know if I see him going this route. Next up, Deion Sanders. So this is a name I've seen thrown around a couple times, not as much as some of the other jobs, but as some of the other names, But Deion, North Carolina, it kind of makes sense. I mean, that from what he's done in Colorado this year, I think he could do pretty good in North Carolina. But is that the way North Carolina wants to go? We'll see. Glenn Schumann, Georgia defense coordinator. This is the next name. He's kind of been the hot name as of late. Think Dan Lanning 2.0, that type of guy. And he's probably going to get a job sooner or later, but he's kind of got his pick. Do I want to go and hold out, and not take one of these G5 jobs and then hold out for a P4 job? Probably what's going to happen. Now, where does he end up? I don't know. North Carolina, though, would probably be a good landing spot for him. Arthur Smith, Steelers offense coordinator. I've seen him thrown around as well, and he has ties to North Carolina, a lot of them. Now, does he make sense coming from the NFL to college. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. We'll see on how much mutual interest is here and how much he really wants to do that, because it's a grind going to college. So we'll see what happens there. Next up, and last but not least here, Jon Sumrall, Tulane head coach. This is kind of the name I'm seeing right now. Similar to Jamey Chadwell, I think North Carolina benefits from not being a lot of jobs open this year, and really not a lot of anticipated ones. Like Jon Sumrall is probably holding out for the Kentucky job. And when will that open? You know, it almost opened last year when Stoops almost went to A&M. So will Kentucky open next year? It's a possibility. Sumrall definitely makes sense in the SEC. He's done really good at Tulane, but is he going to hold out for an actual SEC job similar like Chadwell has? We'll see. All right, so let's go ahead and break it down a little bit. So I'm going to cross off the names here that I don't think are realistic for this job. First off, Bob Chesney at James Madison. He's done a good job there, but I don't think he has been there long enough to warrant that much attention just yet. Need a few more years from him. Andy Kotelnicki, Penn State offensive coordinator. I'm going to mark him off as well. Similar thing is, I don't think you have to settle with this job. I think it's going to be pretty sought after. I think you can hire a really good dude here. So I don't see that happening, taking a shot on a OC that's kind of that's done good, but also, you know, hasn't quite proven it yet. Barry Odom, next name I'm going to cross off this list, UNLV head coach. I don't know. I don't see this one. And it could happen, but I really don't see this one happening. It doesn't make sense to me that, yeah, he probably could win in North Carolina, but, you know, is he going to want to jump ship from where he is now? I think he has it pretty good at UNLV. Next name I'm going to cross off, Dan Mullen. Like I said, he was a finalist last year for the Syracuse job, but how serious is he about getting back into the thick of things? I really don't know. I kind of question that. Next name I'm going to cross off here is going to be PJ Fleck at Minnesota. Again, usually when his name keeps getting thrown around, usually where there's smoke, there's fire. So he is probably putting feelers out here, or his agent is for one, trying to see what job he could get, what kind of job, what does he warrant? You know, I mean, what kind of want does he have when putting his job on the market? And PJ Fleck, I think he has it pretty good at Minnesota. Are you really going to jump ship from a Big Ten school to an ACC school? Unless they run him out, I don't see it happening. All right, next time we're going to cross off here is Glenn Schumann, Georgia defense coordinator. Now, this one, I could actually see him winding up here. These last 5 names, I would not be shocked out of any of them, whether it's Deion, Schumann, Arthur Smith, Jon Sumrall, or Jamey Chadwell. I could see them all fitting at North Carolina, but I feel like Schumann's going to hold out for a, you know, Power 2 job in the Big Ten or probably the SEC. Next one to mark off, Deion Sanders. While it actually does kind of make some sense, I don't think he leaves unless it's probably going to the NFL. I don't think he leaves Colorado for North Carolina, but I've been wrong before. Next thing I'm going to mark off here, Arthur Smith, Steelers offense coordinator. Again, there is some interest there, but how realistic is it jumping from the NFL as a coordinator to going to be a head coach at North Carolina? I don't know. So that leaves you with 2 names here, Jamey Chadwell and Jon Sumrall. These are the 2 guys I would really consider also if I was doing the hiring in this process. Probably the best 2 group of 5 coaches right now. Chadwell's done it year in, year out, whether it's at Coastal, whether it's at Liberty. And then Jon Sumrall coming over from Troy to Tulane. He's proved it here as well. And there are reportedly feelers being sent out by North Carolina for Jon Sumrall. And I think it would come down to these 2 guys. I don't know Jamey Chadwell's interest here, but like I say, he does have ties to Carolina. Kind of makes some sense. And then Sumrall, he is kind of the hot name right now. And I think they're going to benefit from the SEC not having a lot of jobs open. Now, do both of these guys hold out till next year in anticipation for those jobs opening up, whether it's Arkansas, whether it's Kentucky, whether it's Auburn, whoever? It's possible, but I think they jumped the ship. You got to capitalize on it while your name's hot. So I think the hire is going to ultimately end up being Jon Sumrall from Tulane. I think that's who North Carolina will hire. I think it'll be a solid hire. He's done a good job everywhere he's been. Now, again, sometimes with these G5 guys, you never know what you're going to get because, yes, they have success. They're a good G5 college coach, but when they get to the power level, sometimes a different animal. But I think they're going to hire Jon Sumrall. That's who I would hire as well, and that's who I think they will hire. But who would you hire if you were doing the job search for North Carolina? Let me know. Comment down below. Make sure to like this video and subscribe.